there wasn't getting any lighter.
Yeah, this account is totally hacked, by the way. F2, it's a joke. F2 is a joke. F2. F2, you're just really bad. F2, he's legit. Look at his usual. F2, he's
You gotta
legit.
spectate him, man.
F2.
Get him out of here! Get him out of here! Get him out of my sight!
You're really cringy, by the way.
Get him out of my sight. Wait a second, have I seen you before?
F2.
Welcome to the penultimate episode of What is TF2's Worst Weapon? If you've made it this far, you already know my rules and criteria, so I'm gonna go through them again. Rule 1. Random crits will not be taken into consideration. Rule 2. I'll rate them based on their use in 12v12, not 6v6. 3. Multi-class weapons have to be bad on every class. And 4. I'm not taking MVM into consideration. Alright, let's get this started. This weapon had a real fall from grace. This used to be the skunt melee of choice. But now, what am I supposed to annoy my enemies with? The sun on a stick? Truth be told, TF2 just isn't the same without the ability to completely stun an enemy and insta-kill them. I'd like to take a moment of silence for this fallen titan of the skunt loadout. Okay, with that out of the way, let's talk stats. The Sandman functionally is the same as the stock bat with two distinct differences. The first is a decrease in health from 125 to 110. On top of decreasing your health, this also has other effects, the first of which being you receive less health from health packs, which doesn't help when you need health in a pinch. And the second being you receive less overheal from medics, which isn't the end of the world, but it still kinda sucks. The second difference from the stock bat is that while holding the Sandman, you have the ability to launch a rechargeable baseball projectile that slows your enemies. The decrease in health means you really gotta make use out of the baseball, or else you're just kinda putting yourself in a weaker position for no reason. So, what exactly is this ball capable of? Yeah, the slow effect is barely noticeable most of the time. At best, it's mildly infuriating for the enemy. On top of that, the effect can totally be bypassed by using the strafe keys, so it doesn't even work all the time. Oh, and another thing I recently learned about the Sandman is that instead of slowing down an enemy by a percentage of their base speed, it uses a flat speed reduction for all classes. 225.88 hammer units per second, which is ever so slightly slower than Heavy's walking speed. So this means that the ball's effectiveness scales based on the speed of your enemy. So using the Sandman on a Heavy barely does anything, while using it on a Scout can slow them by quite a bit. An effect of the ball is the unique ramp-up mechanic, so the farther away you are from your target, the longer they're stunned for. Now if only there was a Scout primary that encourages you to be a farther distance from your enemy. See where I'm going? While neither the Shortstop or the Sandman are particularly good, I do think they bring out the best in each other. Using the Sandman sets enemies up for easy shortstop shots, and the Shortstop's increased range lets you stay farther away from your enemy for longer slows. It's still a far cry from the skunt days, but at least the enemy gets to have a bit more fun than they used to. I'm gonna put it in the B tier, because B stands for ball, and I'm funny like that. How it feels to use the Brass Beast. Why do you people just keep walking into me? New Brass Beast. Numb your brain. The Ass Beast? The Trash Beast? The Bold and Brash Beast? The Brass Beast is an unlockable primary for the Heavy and is part of the Hibernating Bear set, which is a set of 3 weapons that under no circumstances should be used together. The weapon boasts a 20% damage bonus, which aside from critical hits might be the closest close-range DPS in the game. While revved up, you are a total powerhouse capable of wiping any class off the face of the earth that dare challenges you in your carnal thirst for blood. However, you are really freaking slow while you have the beast revved up. Like, look at this comparison between the move speeds. The beast also revs slower, and you feel it. Try playing a match with the Tomislav, then another with the Brass Beast. It feels like you're playing in slow motion. However, by using a shotgun, something I normally do anyway, because I adore playing Fat Scout, it helps you from getting caught with your pants down and gets you into position a bit more safely. And once you're in that good position, ooh boy do you pack a punch. The bonus damage is insane, and on top of that you have a 20% damage resistance, which totals up to 375 effective health. And with a reliable medic or dispenser by your side, that number only goes up. But even with a shotgun or medic, the Brass Beast still leaves you vulnerable to get rushed down between positioning. And if you do bring a shotgun, you're missing out on health for yourself and your medic. So playing with the Beast is a real risk and real reward kind of weapon. But sometimes the reward isn't worth the risk. The Brass Beast has a lot going for it, and if we're to ever receive a slight tweak from Valve, I could see it becoming a mainstay for the defensive Heavy. But as it stands, the Brass Beast just leaves you too vulnerable to put it on the same level as stock or the Tomislav. So the Brass Beast goes in D tier. The Man-Treads are for playing Trollger, and that's about it. Let me explain why. Let's compare them with the Gunboats, a similar weapon that encourages a rocket jump heavy playstyle. At first glance, the Man-Treads seem like the much better choice. I mean, look at all that blue text, you might think that. However, the Gunboats have only one stat that makes it the better choice: the reduction in rocket jump damage. See, the Man-Tread's main problem is that it's a weapon that takes away your firearms and team buffs in order to enhance your rocket jumps. But you just take too much damage from rocket jumping to really get use out of them, and the other upsides don't really make up for it. The Man-Tread's best feature is the increase in turning control while rocket jumping. This is fantastic for having more control and precision over your rocket jumps. But again, the damage you take from rocket jumping adds up way too quickly to actually pull off some of the insane rollouts or gardens. But this stat makes it an excellent choice for Trollger, as you don't need to worry about taking damage from rocket jumping. The next upside is the increase in knockback and air blast resistance. This upside is pretty mediocre. It can sometimes make you more tanky and help stand your ground in a 1v1 fight, but often surfing damage can be essential for escaping. And with the Man-Treads, that becomes harder, if not impossible. Ultimately, this upside is very situational, but it can come in handy. The final upside is the most interesting. You can land on the heads of your enemies to deal damage to them. The damage they take is the fall damage you would have taken, times 3, plus 10 damage. From a short to medium length fall, you'll be dealing about 60 to 80 damage. But from high falls, you can deal as much as 110 to 130 plus damage. Pulling off a stomp also means that you won't take any fall damage. Now, pulling this off is extremely funny and satisfying, but it's extremely hard and risky to pull off. Think about all you have to do to try this. You have to rocket jump, which will deal roughly 40 to 50 damage, then fall a great distance, which can do anywhere from 20 to over 50. And you can lose a lot of health trying to go for a stomp kill. Compare this to the other weapon with the ability to stomp enemies, the Thermal Thruster. Not only does it not deal damage to yourself to activate, using it also reduces fall damage, meaning often you'll only be taking single digits worth of damage trying to go for a stomp, which means it can actually be a worthwhile thing to go for. Unfortunately for the Man-Treads, it's a risky gimmick more often than not. But still, it's a really satisfying one. So on Vanilla Soldier, the Man-Treads aren't very good. But when used with either the Liberty Launcher or the Rocket Jumper, it can actually be pretty good. Zipping through the air getting gardens is really fun. All in all, I think the man-treads are a strong B tier. I think the fact that the only objective direct upgrade in the game made it onto this list shows how useless the fire axe is for Pyro. The Pyro is a class that has a lot of variety in their melee choices. If you want utility from your melee, you can choose the Power Jack or Home Wrecker. And if you want a combat melee, you have the Extinguisher. And if you want something in between, you got the Back Scratcher. However, you have the melees that don't really exceed at being a utility or combat tool, the third degree being one of them. See, the third degree has one unique upside, being that hitting an enemy with a Medibeam attached to them hits all players connected. This normally just means a medic in their pocket, but an infinite number of players can be hit as long as there is a Medibeam attaching them. So it looks like the third degree is trying to be a combat melee like the Extinguisher, but it fails so hard. Because as a Pyro, running at a medic in their pocket with your melee out is incredibly stupid. Remember, I'm not taking random crits into consideration, so the dream scenario of random critting a medic in their pocket is totally out of the window here. So assuming the medic has full health, it will take 3 melee swings on either the medic or their pocket to kill them. And that's without them disconnecting the beam or killing you first. So it looks like to use the third degree, you gotta flank a medic that's about to die and smack them and injure their pocket. But you know what other weapon can do that? All of Pyro's primary weapons. There's no reason to pull out the third degree over your primary for any reason, as long as the flamethrower exists. It's almost useless, but at least the third degree is consistent and reliable as a stock melee, so I can't really put it into the upper tiers. So the third degree is going in B tier. The Candy Cane is a weapon that scales in use the better you get at playing Scout. The Candy Cane rewards a good Scout for dodging and strafing explosives with a health pack that can be picked up. This health pack is great for sustaining a long fight, especially when used with unlocks that also reward you with health, like the Mad Milk and Pretty Boy's Pocket Pistol. Aside from sustaining yourself, the health pack also negates Afterburn, ensuring you can survive almost every encounter with a Pyro if you get the upper hand. And the Candy Cane can also be used to detect Dead Ringer spies, because health packs aren't dropped on feigned deaths. However, I should note that the damage vulnerability makes you cross a very important damage threshold. Demo's pipes can now one-shot you. This is the biggest drawback of the weapon, and it scares a lot of Scout players from ever giving the Candy Cane a fair shot. But as I stated before, the Candy Cane rewards Scouts with health for carefully dodging projectiles. So if you flank Demomen and avoid walking into spammable choke points, getting a pick on a demo that doesn't expect you keeps you from getting one shot most of the time. Another stat of the Candy Cane is the fact that anyone is able to pick up the health pack you drop. This is both good and bad for you. It's good because the health pack can be used by allies to heal them, making you a more supportive teammate. And if you have a medic following you, you almost have a pseudo-medic heavy relationship where you keep the other healed. However, enemies are also capable of picking up the health pack, which can put you at a disadvantage in a fight. But I find this situation is a lot more rare and a lot more avoidable. It should be noted that the Candy Cane is by far the best choice for medieval mode because it spawns 2 health packs instead of 1, and the only explosive weapon is the Caber. But Scout in medieval mode is kind of a meme in a meme game mode already, so take that with a grain of salt. I think that the Candy Cane is incredibly rewarding and skill-based, and I think it's a criminally underrated unlock. It has its drawbacks, yes, but I feel like they complement the upsides and make the weapon more balanced as a whole. I think it might be the most underrated weapon in the game, actually. F tier. In the far-off year of 2009, a weapon was added to the game called the Equalizer. The weapon gave both a damage boost and speed boost that grew as you took damage. However, this weapon was super busted and overpowered. So to tone it down a bit, they split the Equalizer into 2 weapons. The escape plan used the model from before, and the Equalizer was given the new model with the blood splatter that we all know and hate today. The Equalizer's damage scaling can actually be pretty impressive. Having single-digit health makes your melee do over 100 damage, beating out even the Warrior Spirit 85 per swing. However, the Equalizer is fundamentally flawed when it comes to being a combat melee. Let me illustrate why. Melee weapons that are meant for combat need to have a good way to control a fight or close a distance, say for instance, the Extinguisher. The Pyro's Air Blast makes popping an enemy into the air or corner for an easy melee kill easy to pull off and with little risk, making it a fantastic combat melee. Spy as a class is built for melee with his disguise kit and invisibility, and Demo Knight has his shield which is great for closing the distance, escaping, and has resistances that make getting in an enemy's face less risky. One of the Equalizer's problems is that you have no way of closing the distance, and you have to do it while at cripplingly low health. This means even in the ideal scenario when you're at low health and have the Equalizer out, your slow speed makes getting to your enemy to do that extra damage an impossible task without dying. This is what has made the escape plan such a quintessential soldier weapon for so long. The speed boost lets you escape or close the distance, which, ironically, makes it the better weapon as a last-ditch melee option. Another problem that the Equalizer has that the escape plan doesn't is its lack of consistency. See, the escape plan has certain damage thresholds that grant more speed. At 40 health or below, you gain 60% more speed, and at 80 to 41, you gain 40% more speed. However, the Equalizer doesn't have that system at all, instead scaling with the amount of health you have. This means even if you're in melee range and at low health, whether the melee swing kills your enemy or not is essentially a dice roll. And I haven't even talked about the downsides yet. The first of which being while you're at max health, the Equalizer actually has a 50% damage penalty. This means at full health, your swings do less damage than this Scout's bat. And if there's one thing you should know by now in this series, it's that if your melee does less damage than the bat, it's probably trash. The weapon doesn't deal the same amount of damage as the shovel until you have 114 health. That would be like if pulling out the escape plan while at 114 health or above slowed you down. This hidden stat only hinders a weapon built for fighting people. There's also the healing penalty. Now this one isn't too bad, because all you gotta do to receive max healing again is to just pull out another weapon. And the healing penalty can actually help a medic charge uber faster than they otherwise would have. But it's still another small thing weighing this already bad weapon down. While it's not even close to being the worst melee in the game, the Equalizer is just too flawed in its design to really have any potential, and it's a total embarrassment compared to the escape plan. So I'm putting the Equalizer into the A tier. The Delocus Bar is for the thinking man's heavy. See, 95% of heavy mains, so about 12 people, swear by the sandwich and banana, which are great for supporting your team and yourself, respectively. 1% of heavy mains use shotguns, so, you know, just me. But the rest use the Delocus Bar, and they're the only people that know that the Delocus Bar is actually a really underrated weapon that can rival the banana and sandwich in its effectiveness. Upon being eaten, the Delocus Bar grants you a passive 50 health increase in your health, which brings it up to 350 for 30 seconds. This increase has a lot of uses. For one, it helps cross some damage thresholds. You can now tank crit stickies, rockets, and grenades without overheal. It also increases the health you receive from health packs, so a medium health pack gives you 175 health instead of 150, which can be useful sometimes. But where the Delocus Bar really shines is how well it pairs with certain weapons. Take for instance the Fists of Steel. Holding the Fists of Steel out gives you 500 effective health, compared to the base 300 health. With that extra 50 health from the Delocus Bar, it adds up and you have 583 effective health. Almost double that of your 300 base health, with no outside assistance from a medic. That's insane. This also means that the Delocus Bar is a great pair for the Natasha because of the 20% damage reduction while under half health. Pair it with the Delocus Bar, and while revved you have 437 effective health. Just 13 measly points under a max overhealed heavy, again with no assistance from a medic. The tanking abilities of the Bar are incredible. but they're also a great pair with the gloves of running urgently, because that bonus health you get can make up for some of the health you lose while rolling out with the gloves. The drawback of the Delocus Bar isn't really a penalty, rather something it just doesn't do. The Delocus Bar will not heal you for a significant amount of health like the sandwich or the banana. Instead, the Delocus Bar heals you for 100 health, and recharges for 10 seconds, the same as the banana. But even if it doesn't heal for large amounts, the steady stream of bonus health and smaller amounts of healing should keep you nice and healthy. The one thing that hurts the weapon's effectiveness is the fact that unlike other weapons that increase the user's health, overheal does not stack with the bonus health. Meaning if you have a dedicated pocket, you're probably better off using the sandwich. All in all, with the right combination of weapons, a Delocus Bar can be just as effective as the sandwich or banana. However, the situations where it shines can be a bit more situational. So, even if it's not quite on the same level as banana and sandwich, I'm certainly not going to label it as a bad weapon. I think it deserves the F tier. Remember that rule of thumb I stated earlier? And if there's one thing you should know by now in this series, it's that if your melee does less damage than the bat, it's probably... Yeah, things are not looking good for the Tribblemans Shiv. Tribblemans Shiv? Tribblemans Shiv. The Tribblemans Shiv has a 50% damage penalty, which, yet again, means you deal less damage than the stock bat. The upside, however, is that upon hitting an enemy with this Shiv, they are inflicted with a bleed debuff for 6 seconds. Blade damage deals 8 per second, so assuming the enemy takes all 6 seconds worth of damage, the Tribblemans Shiv deals 81 damage per swing, 16 more than the stock Kukri. However, 6 seconds is way more than enough time it takes to kill a defenseless sniper. So if you use it for self-defense, you're dead way before that extra damage ever comes into effect. And if in the moment self-defense is what you need, all of the other Kukris have it beat in that regard. So, if the Tribblemans Shiv isn't for self-defense, then what is it designed for? Well, the design of the weapon acts as a way to track invisible spies, but there's a lot of flaws that keep it from being effective at that. For starters, even though the Tribblemans Shiv deals 6 seconds of bleed, Spy's Invis has a 50% reduction to debuff timers, so an Invis Spy is only affected for 3 seconds. And the Dead Ringer gets rid of debuffs entirely. And why even use the Shiv when you can use the Jarate, which has a 10-second debuff, so 5 for an Invis Spy, already an improvement. And the Jarate also combos with the Bushwhacker for an easy one-hit kill. The Shiv is completely blown out of the water and made obsolete by the Jarate. There's no other reason to use it over your other options. After much contemplation, I've decided that the Tribblemans Shiv is a strong A tier to a light S tier. But I'll be placing it into the S tier. And just like that, part 3 is over. Maybe it could have been longer or put more effort into it, but to be honest, Donda dropped today, and I kind of want to listen to that a little more, so. With that said though, thanks for watching my videos. If you care to, like, subscribe, all that jazz. And I'm gonna go listen to some music. Okay, bye. I actually waved there. I actually waved to the microphone like that would do anything.